Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association Podcast. My name is Max Ceron and I am here day 3, Fabtech Canada. Losing my voice, 3 days of podcasts and sessions and presenting and work, and it's been nuts, and it's been such a good time here on the floor and with CanWeld. This is the last episode of the week, and I'm wrapping it up with one of the best guys out there. We got Frankie Vargas, who is the National Sales Manager for Uniweld and the impeccable and unsurmountable host of Torch Tales.
Wow, I don't even know what to say about after that. All right, thanks, guys. It was great. Awesome.
Great interview. See you later.
After that, I don't want to hear anything else. Yep. Thank you for having me, Max. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man.
Yep.
How you been? How's the show? Are you tired? Day 3, man?
You know what? You never know with these shows. You know how it works.
Yeah.
You come in and expectations could be up here. But I got to say, 2 years ago was the first time that we were here, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
This time around, it was just a home run. We loved it, the kind of leads, the quality of people that are here. It's amazing. So great time so far.
Well, first of all, I think the conference is bigger this year. I think the floor is sold out. We exceeded all our numbers that we expected, so that's a win already. But I also think that you're more recognizable now. Uniweld 2 years ago here was like, okay, we know a little bit about these guys. But now, 2 years later, you guys have done a lot of money, put a lot of money into marketing, getting the face out there, getting the word out there. Do you feel like that is helping with the footprint here now?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. I mean, we've had a footprint in Canada for maybe 20 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, for some reason, which is social media platforms nowadays, right?
Yeah.
It has really worked. And now, we're getting places where there was no doors before. Yeah. Now those doors are there, and we're just coming right in.
So when you're looking at this year's show, you're back in South Florida, and you're getting ready to prep for the show and coming up with a plan. What would be, or what was the win that you were looking for coming here to Fabtech Canada? You said you've been here you've had business here for 20 years. What was it you wanted to achieve here?
Well, you never know. So you're open-minded. Not only do you want to solidify some of those relationships that you already have. Mm-hmm. And just seeing those customers that sometimes you don't get to see around I handle all of the U.S. and all of Canada. So, of course, I'm watered down everywhere. Mm-hmm. So when you come to a show like this and you get to see them because they're already here, it's a win-win. Yeah. And then I get to work with some of my reps as well, and also just kind of getting a feedback on what they got going on and see what they think about the industry. So overall, it's just a win-win, and it's great.
You have like a sales target when you walk in that door being like, we're going to Fabtech Canada. I'm going to sell 1 million torches. Like, I don't know, like.
Hey, I wish. We take it slow. And yes, so of course we have targets. And there's different distributors here that we deal with, that we already have a relationship. Yeah. And we just want to grow with some of them. And, I don't want to mention names because you know how this works. Then you mention one and then the other's like, well, what about me? But there's a few here that I think we have done our job on making sure for them to recognize the brand and for just to know that, hey, this is what we have, this is what we can do. And I think it's worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, on the other side, there's the networking, there's the non-sales side of the business.
Correct.
The branding, the recognition. How important is it to come up to Canada for that? I feel like, they say the American markets are roughly about 10 times bigger than the Canadian market. Do you feel that you have that 10% stake in Canada, or you got to grow?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
We're not even close to what we can do. And it's part of what you were saying before. Mm-hmm. Just us getting out there and making sure people can recognize, hey, wow, I'd heard about Uniweld, but I wasn't sure about everything they can do. Mm-hmm. And, we make so many custom and private things for many other companies, which, NDAs, you can really talk about those either. But yes, I think more and more in the last couple of years, especially because of everything that you mentioned before, we just talk about it and they go like, yeah, I know what you guys do. Of course, yeah. Hey, let's have that conversation. Yeah. So I think that 10%, it's really getting there. And every time we do the rounds, we're just getting conversations that they were not there before.
Well, it's so interesting talking about those custom applications. I feel like for a long time, the torch, oxy fuel companies out there last 20 years, we're really focusing on just, shrinking down the lines to create, like, there's the light duty package, the medium duty package, the heavy duty package, and then just different tips. That's the life.
That's it, yeah.
That's the life. And then now you're seeing in the last, I would say, 5-10 years, a lot of companies coming up being like, well, we have specific industry solutions to meet your specific needs based on gas use,
Correct.
what you're cutting, what you're doing. How do you go through that process? How does someone say, hey, Uniweld, I want to cut 8-inch plate with blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
Propane. I don't know, like whatever.
Yeah.
And how do you figure that out? How does that whole work?
Well, the customers and the people out there, they're the ones doing this day in, day out. Every once in a while, someone comes up to me and says, hey, Frank, how can I do this? I'm like, well, this is what I recommend, but you are the expert. At the end of the day, you're using this every single day. I'm selling just the out of it, right?
Yeah.
So every time we hear a customer and we go to their domain and see, all right, this is what you're doing. Great. Well, have you thought about this? What about this? And they'll bring ideas. They're the ones bringing all those ideas, and we can just, we can do that. Oh, no, there's no way. You want one only? Don't talk to us. But if there's ROI on both sides, for sure, we can make anything happen. That's how big and flexible also we are at the same time. And yes, the gases keep changing because, settling just a little bit more money out there, right?
Yeah, it's expensive
so
now.
So most people just want to use propane or something alternative to propane, natural gas, right? So the torches, the heating tips, the rosebuds, everything is changing to accommodate the gases that now people have access to.
So heating tips. I just wrote down heating tips.
I saw you that. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
what?
This is the bane of the existence for many welders.
Yeah.
And you mentioned rosebuds, although I think rosebuds is like Kleenex. I think it's a brand, right?
Well, rosebud is just a bigger heating tip. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. Where you have welding tips, which is just the one single flame, and then the rosebud is just that 8-6 little holes, just giving you fire and just preheat, fab, Yeah.
So in the world of instructors, one of the hardest tools to teach to use is a heating tip properly.
Yeah.
Number one, they're 99% of the time too big of a tip for the amount of gas.
Correct.
Because I feel like that happens in the sales world. The salesman shows up at the shop and they say, what do you need? Oh, we're trying to straighten out these beams.
Yeah, right.
We need a heating tip. And so they go to the catalog and they find the biggest one at the bottom and say, I want that one. And they don't realize that you need like 7 acetylene bottles to make that run. How do you educate your clients to make sure that they're buying the right type of heating tip, for the right amount of pressure for gas? Because that's also one of the most dangerous processes, because those suckers can pop right off, man.
Well, that's the thing, and that's a great point. All of us, we always want the biggest, the baddest, right? It's like, wow, that's the one I want. Yeah. So I think, every time I go to a school or I'm talking to anyone out there, I'm like, all right, what is that you're going to end up using it for? That's the first question. And then I go, you don't need that. Of course, I want to sell you the biggest one. I'm going to make more money on it, right? But that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? Yeah. So usually every settings that they see, it's based on a specific standard. 25-foot hose, blah, 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 blah. And then you go like, all right, so I see that you have a 100-foot hose. I see that you have flashback arresters. Yeah. I see that you have both at the torch end and the regulator end. So now you have restricted the regular settings from the book, right?
You put 20 on the regulator, but you got 10 coming out the other end.
Correct. And then so for every 25-foot of hose, you have to adjust the PSIs. You have to do all these other things. And most people just don't do that. They stay at the same settings that they saw on the little chart, but they have added all these other things. The rig, it's based on a 100-foot hose, which should have been 11, 12, 13 PSI on the settling and 55, 60 in the oxygen. Yeah. But they're all the way down, and they're like, well, this is not working. What's going on? It's like, well... Yeah, you wanted the big one, but you never adjusted to everything else you got.
That's right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But I got to tell you, because of social media, the gas apparatus and torches have come back in the last 5 years, like you mentioned. It's a lot of these guys doing art, doing flame art, doing all these other things, metal fab and metal, just bending and you name it. So it's amazing what social media has done to the one process that is almost 200 years old. Yeah. It's crazy, but it has come back in a big way. Yeah.
So right now in Canada, we're reviewing, I think this next year coming up in 2025, they're going to be doing a trade board review. So we have a nationalized welding program.
Gotcha.
Right? Across Canada, everyone gets taught the same thing, same modules, same books to meet the same standards. Right now, there's oxy-fuel as a part of our learning. Every welder in Canada has to learn how to turn them on safely, turn them off, the difference between the tips, and how to cut and heat. They're talking about removing that from the curriculum to include more arc processes.
Gotcha.
Right? Because That how they say to them, according to them, this is the logic. If you're day one on the job site as a fresh hire out of school, you're not getting put on the torch. You're getting sent in to run the MIG or something else. When it's time to learn the torch or do go cut pieces, you may have been there. They'll teach you. The shop will teach you. I don't know how I feel about that. How do you feel about that?
Well, I can tell you this. Yes, of course, technology has taken over. We all know that. But you know what? Knowing how to drive stick or knowing how to drive an automatic, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to be able to drive both?
That's right.
So you can say you can actually drive, right? So learning the process and learning what an open flame, what a flame tool is, isn't that the same thing as everything else you're going to end up doing? Yeah. There's an arc, there's a flame. If you learn that process, if you learn how fire works, it just makes sense. Why wouldn't you know these things? Yeah. Even though you're going to end up using a plasma or this or that. But an oxy-fuel, you are in the middle of the field, cutting a railroad 6-8 inches thick. What are you going to do there?
Yeah.
How are you going to cut that? You're going to bring your plasma into where the train station?
Six months later.
Right? Yeah. I'm still here. Yeah. It's a full-time job, right? Yeah. So, it's one of those things. I always tell, especially in our countries where we come from and stuff like that, oxy-fuel, I was just in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Ask me how many plasma cutters I saw out there.
Yeah, zero, man.
Zero. I saw guys doing bevel cuts and things with a torch that I can only dream of.
Yeah.
There's no way. And
it's like glass. It's perfect.
Are you kidding? I'm like, who did that? Where's the machine? Because I don't see anything here.
Yeah.
It's Joe back there. I'm like, Joe, come here. I got to see this. I got to see this again. And some of these guys are amazing. They stack dimes with torch and the heating tape that you could just think that it was a machine, and you just have no clue. But there's some talent out there.
I remember teaching oxy-fuel welding, and I, as an instructor, I was trying to find some interesting facts, to tell them because even the kids coming up, they're like, "No, when am I going to do this? I don't care about this. I want to TIG weld.
Yeah,
I want to TIG. Everyone wants to TIG now.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, get over it. But anyways, I would say
that's another show.
Yeah, it's another show. I would say to them, before arc welding became so easy and portable.
Correct.
The world was built by oxy-fuel welding process. You're looking at the Eiffel Tower. You're looking at the biggest bridges in the world. You're looking at some major constructions. The Empire State Building has tons of oxy-fuel welding done in it. It's not weaker. It's not worse. It's just slower. That was the only thing that really caused a bubble for it in the production world.
It's about speed. It's about speed at the end of the day, and we get it. But sometimes, that's the industrial side of things. What about the art side? There's guys out there like David Madero out of Mexico.
Yeah, man, that dude's awesome.
Have you seen what this guy does with a torch?
I party with the guy, man. He's been on the show.
There you go. Yeah, I was just lucky enough that he was on my show as well. But the things he does with the torch, those art pieces, I mean, come on. It's very impressive. That's what I try to tell this younger generation coming in. It's like, look, these are kind of the things that you can do as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for low cost at home hobbyist, there's probably not a better tool.
Yep.
Right? Because you can do so much with it. And people are like, I got to fix my aunt's chair. I don't have a small enough arc welder. Well, do you have oxy-fuel? Because you can do anything with that.
Cut, weld, braze, bend. Come on. Give me one single tool that with a tote this big, you can actually go out there and do any of that.
Yeah.
Show me one, because I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Although, in my world, I always knew acetylene.
Yeah.
I was an acetylene guy.
Yeah.
And now I see a lot of natural gas and propanes, MAP gases coming out, and they just don't hit the same to me. How's the technology covering that gap?
You know what? Again, it depends. It's by pockets. Depending where you are, they have access to certain things. And sometimes it's all about money. Like if you're just going to be preheating all day long, propane LP or anything like that, it's going to be the way to go. Yeah. But if you just want to cut quicker and you're just scrapping metal, maybe acetylene is the way. So you're going to see that 20% where it's, all right, am I using so much gas versus how much it's costing me? Right. And that's usually how the ratio, how they do the math. And I recommend either or. It's just what can you have access to? Because it doesn't make any sense if I tell them, just go propane only. Well, I'm going through a bottle or this or that, or I can't get it, or I'm going through acetylene and I'll cut in 2 minutes what usually takes me 10 with propane. So at the end of the day, I tell them, this is what's out there. It's your decision to make.
Yeah, you got to figure out what's acceptable for you.
Correct. And most people think that you can cut a clean cut with any propane-based gas, right?
Yeah.
Which actually that's not true. You can have some amazing clean cuts.
Yeah.
It's not me doing it because there's no way I can do those clean cuts.
I remember the first time I was handed a propane oxy setup.
Yeah.
And I was like, because you're waiting for it to cherry so you can start to cut. And I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'll be back.
Hello? Like, when does this turn in red? Like, I want to cut already. Like,
That's the thing. Acetylene is so aggressive that, the heat
Yeah.
is right off the tip, where propane, it's, the BTUs is a little
Yeah.
bit further from the tip. So,
Yeah.
but there's some magic. There's a secret sauce
I've
there.
seen people do like 4-inch cuts with propane.
So
like,
have I.
Yeah,
And the
like-
first time I saw that, especially like clean cut, I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you got to teach me. Yeah.
Yeah, but the pressures are also way different. Like, you're ramped right up.
They
right?
are, and that's
Yeah.
why you can actually cut way bigger things with propane, because acetylene is such a wild gas,
They're
right?
volatile,
You
yeah,
can go
yeah.
after 15 psi, but
Yeah.
with anything
Well,
propane
you
based,
can get a little. No, I won't say that.
Hey, I didn't say that. I work for a company, and I got to say what I'm told. Yeah. So yes, you can, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
It's a little different. Yeah.
Now let's talk about you, Frank. Like,
Uh-oh.
like your background.
Uh-oh.
How did you get in this game? This is niche. So
Yes.
we got welding, we got this giant world. Then you get into cutting. Then you get into torches. Like, I mean, you're dialed right into this avenue, right? How did you get to here?
I took an Uber. Yeah. I work for Grainger, so I've been on the industrial side for many years. So I
Okay.
used to sell certain things and a lot of other products, right? Thousands of products.
Yeah.
So I got exposed to the industrial side just by selling it.
Yeah.
And then slowly, Uniweld, the company I work for now, they were just looking 15 years ago.
Because Grainger they supply Uniweld, or
yes,
did.
Yes.
but-
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've always had a line, because Uniweld has two divisions. One is HVAC, refrigeration,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is gas apparatus. So Grainger has a little bit of both going on for them from our line, right? And so Uniweld tried to hire me 15 and a half years ago, and I said no the first time. It wasn't the right time. Then the
Yeah,
second time
yeah.
around, somehow they found me again. No clue how it was.
And this is all like this is still South Florida.
All South Florida, yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why the second time I said, you know what, I'm going to think about this one.
Yeah.
It was because I was coaching baseball about an hour away from where the Grainger was and where my kids were going to school. I'm like, all right, I think it makes sense now. I think I'm tired of this
Travel,
long
yeah,
hour. Yeah.
yeah.
So I said yes, and 15 years later, here I am.
Here you are.
I know.
So in 15 years, with this company,
Yeah.
how have you seen the company progress or advance? What have been like some of the biggest changes you've seen within the last 15 years?
One of the great things, and it's a double-edged sword, it's still a family-owned business.
Yeah.
It's been in business for 75 years. And one of the things that we take a lot of pride is that we're still U.S.-made. So
Yeah.
75% of what we do is U.S.-made. We got to have the imports as well. We got to,
Yeah.
have A and B for
Yeah.
customers, right? But one of the things that I got to say is that one of the best things is that there's no red tape. It's me, then I go to the owners, president of the company, and say, hey, this is what we need to do, or this is what I think we need to do.
Yeah.
With that being said, because it's also a family-owned business, sometimes there's budgets and stuff like that. Like they got to look at
And you're
things.
like, hey,
it's like,
take it easy.
wait, Frank. Like, you're a little too wild.
Why are you in Jamaica again?
Right? Yeah. It's like, well, I'm selling torches, and I'm firing things up. But so it's a double-edged sword. I love the fact that I have the flexibility to just think outside the box where there's not much red tape like bigger companies. You know how that works.
Oh,
Like,
man, I live it.
I got to go through 10 different people before the decision
Yeah.
is made. It's just me and then the owners. So that's the plus side.
Yeah.
And then what I've seen growth-wise is that because of both divisions, like Uniweld started with the gas apparatus, and that was many, many years ago. Then we brought the HVAC division,
Which makes sense. You're still using copper, same materials,
racing,
fittings.
soldering,
yeah.
all these things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
anything that it takes to operate, maintain, and repair AC, industrial, commercial, you name it, we have all the tools, right? But then that actually has taken over the company, meaning
Okay.
it's like 60-40 now.
It's like when your little brother is taller than you.
There you go.
Like, what the
I
happened?
was here first, right?
Yeah. But get out of here. Sit down.
That's exactly what has just happened. So that has put us in the map on many different divisions and many industries out there, and we're
Yeah.
just loving the ride.
What about the technology in the torches? One of the things that sometimes smaller family-owned companies struggle with is investment into R&D.
Correct.
Because they don't have quite the backing to get into that world sometimes, which is a very expensive world to
Yeah.
get into. How does Uniweld manage the R&D part, the coming up with the new next thing that's going to be needed in industry?
At the end of the day, it's very hard to come up with a new torch, right? It's like
Yeah.
what's the process? What's the
Yeah.
technology behind a torch? So what we do is we come up with different things that just add and make that torch give you more value. And
Yeah.
so we can grab a regulator and change all these things and make it lighter and do the same work and the flow and all these things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, because we make all the major 3 styles of torches out there, we make every one of them.
So what are those? A balanced injector?
Yeah, so head mix, stick mix, and tooth mix.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
So those are the 3 major ones out there. And we make every one of those, and then we can combine a lot of those things and make a different torch that nobody has.
Right.
Which we do. We have certain things that nobody else does because we're able to, hey, what about if we grab this thing and that other thing and we just blend them together? It's like, oh, that's something new.
Cool.
But at the end of the day, there's not much new when it comes to that side of things. We make more efficient things, and the quality will really stand behind it. But on the HVAC side of things, refrigeration, soldering, bracing, that's the techie division for us. So on that, we have digital manifolds, vacuum gauges, and vacuum pumps, and all these cool digital things that communicate with your phone and give you all the readings, when you're doing the vacuums on the AC.
Yeah.
So that's the techie side of the division for us.
Do you see that technology, the techie side, getting in with the oxy-fuel side or the cutting side, like where it maybe tells you that your bottle's almost empty or stuff like that? Do you see it mixing the other way?
Yeah, stuff like that I can see, and I think there is certain things out there that you can grab already your bottles and it'll give you the read. It's easier to read than, just looking at the gauges, looking at, your clocks and
Shake it.
I know, it's like, is there anything left? I got nothing, right? So yes, that it's out there still right now, but I don't think that much changing on this particular thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if it works, why change it?
Yeah.
And it has worked for 150 years.
Yeah.
So there's not much to do. It's like a match, right? Like how much better can you make a match? But still works. So that's kind of the technology behind the torches,
Now, what about the heavy industrial stuff? Like, I worked in a steel shop. I worked in a steel mill for a number of years. And when they cut the plates coming off the rolling mill, they got like 10-foot-long torches running on 200 PSI natural gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you guys do that? Will you be able, can you get, I guess, is there any limit to what you guys can do?
Well, of course, there's always limits, right? But yes, so we do make a lot of custom stuff for other industry, like asphalt, heating tips, that go on these big machines as the road's getting paved and all that. We make all these liquid propane torches and all these other coil tips for the pipeliners out there doing the preheat on these coils. So we make so many other things, and that's the thing. Most people say, see Uniweld, they make torches. Until we have those conversations, yes,
like,
we're still,
you do lots of stuff.
We're still making flame tools at the end of the day, but some really cool, weird, different flame tools.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, we can pretty much do anything.
Yeah. How do you enter? And I mean, you said the company's been around, 75 years?
75 years this year.
This year. So that's very impressive. But you're also in a world where there's the Victors, the Smiths, right? You got these big names rolling around, and they have a big...
I'm sorry, who are they?
Big. They got chunks of the market share, right?
Yes, they do.
How do you stack in as a salesperson, as a company, when you come into even a trade show and say, look at us, we have X, this is the difference?
I think at the end of the day, it's the people.
Yeah.
A product is a product.
It's Frank.
Thank you, Max. That's where I was going, right? That's the only thing that I can say, hey, this is what we got. This is our portfolio. This is our catalog.
Yeah.
And this is what I can do. But at the end of the day, I know the brand recognition is very important for a lot of different people out there. Mm-hmm. But we have all these things that we can do to kind of, hey, play with our stuff, no questions asked. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And then you come back and tell us what you think. And we'll take that feedback. And sometimes 9 out of 10 is like, whoa, yeah, I this is good. I get it.
Well, I know, like, I listed off a couple brands there.
Yeah.
I know exactly, after 30 years in the industry, from each brand, the things I don't like about them.
Yeah, correct.
And the things I do.
Yeah.
Right? And
we all do.
That's the way it is.
We all do. And the one thing that we take a lot of pride is, like, we've never sacrificed our U.S. manufacturing.
Yeah.
I cannot speak for everybody else.
So you can control the production. If you get a bad run, you can be like, yo, this isn't good enough.
That's correct. I don't have to wait 90 days, 120 days just to, like, let me wait for the other container to come back from who knows where,
wherever,
right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that we buy raw material in the U.S., we make the stuff in the U.S., and we employ anywhere between 200 or 275 at any given moment. So
that's a significant size.
Yeah, and we have a warehouse in Houston, warehouse here in Canada, warehouse in California. So we spread. Yeah.
So when you say that you're in charge of the sales for for Canada and U.S., basically the North America.
Yeah, correct.
Including Mexico or not Mexico?
No, so what happens is the reason why you mentioned Mexico is because we have an export department as well. So we
Okay,
export all over the world.
But you speak Spanish.
Well,
Don't you want it?
Well, here's the story. So, yes, I am bilingual, of course.
Yeah.
I was born in the Dominican Republic, and the first trade show I ever did in Mexico, I didn't speak the Spanish industry lingo. So
that is hard to learn. Yeah.
correct. So in my eyes, I'm like, of course I'm bilingual. Of course I'm going to go help. And then I get asked all these questions and all these words. I'm like, what are they saying again?
Yeah, what word is that?
What is that? And my guys are looking at me like, dude, you're bilingual. Like, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, but now I help the export department in Mexico, and I'm going back to next year in Monterrey, which actually you should come.
Man,
and check it out.
I already talked to the FMA, SME team, AWS. Everyone's like, Max, you're at everything in the U.S., everything in Canada. Why are you not in Mexico?
Well,
and I got to make the business. You know,
expose them out there, right?
I got to figure out how the CWB group can work in Mexico first,
of course,
right? Because I can't go down there and be like, yeah, I want to go down there and do stuff.
Well, for you to figure that out, you got to go first and kind of check that, right? The second time is when you know.
So my boss, who's probably going to listen to this at some point, you heard it from Frankie Vargas.
It's very important that Max goes to Mexico and checks the industry.
And I'm bilingual.
And
like,
find that synergy, right?
Yeah, my kids are half Mexican for crying out loud.
Really?
Yeah, my kid's mom is from Cuernavaca.
Well, you're in, and especially Monterrey. It's a cool town. Mexico City. I was impressed with the show. I got to say, it was much better than I thought.
I'm looking forward to it. I know David Madero is always there.
I know. We had a nice dinner with adult drinks.
Did his mom come?
No, it was just him.
She seems like such a wonderful lady.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm going to see him in Orlando because we're planning some stuff together. So
what do you mean you're planning some stuff together in Orlando? I'm going to be in Orlando.
Well, I know, but we are also going to plan some stuff, the group, but then David Madero and us, and some things are happening. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope it's in Espanol and we can do it together.
Well, actually, there's everything. It's bilingual. It's bilingual, baby. Yep.
Now, you know, for what's next for Uniweld, you know, like you guys are doing the stuff. You're doing the social media. You're doing the videos. You're getting out to the shows. Do you have an expected growth? Are you looking to expand to other countries? What's on the horizon for Uniweld?
So the closest next biggest thing that we are going to do new for us, there's an organization called IOMA, International Oxygen Manufacturers Association. It's in Argentina coming up. I've never been there, and I'm going.
Awesome.
So it was a great.
If you want to visit Chile, I got a house there. You can chill for a bit.
Well, definitely, that's on my bucket list because once I was there, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay for a couple more days and just kind of go cross over. And so yes, I'll be reaching out because that is part of the plan.
Absolutely, my cousins can meet you, give you the keys, show you how it works. Absolutely. Other friends of mine use it whenever they're down there. Why not?
Oh, hey, I mean, you had me at keys, right? So that's a good one for us, and that's something different. And we're just gonna expand into that market. We used to have a presence there, but because of a lot of political stuff,
it's rough still.
It is. So it's just getting a tap better where we can at least look at and say, all right, does it make sense?
Well,
so that one I'm excited
industry.
about. It is. Yeah. It is. So that one we're excited about, and we hire a few more guys in the Middle East and all that. So we're always expanding and always growing, and we do very, very well also in the Middle East as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm looking to expand in the Middle East this next year too with the chapter. So well,
there you go.
We're gonna run into each other in a lot of places. I think
that's the plan. I think we're working into this, right? Yeah. Yep.
Like when you're looking at that growth, where does the education part of your business fit? Do you get involved with schools? Do you have discounts for colleges? Like is Uniweld conscious of the education part of the business?
100%. And we have all of that you just mentioned. Yeah, we have all kinds of educational programs for the schools as well. I think that's how you build the brand, but that's just long term. Yeah. Before it's really about the safety. Like if you're going to join this industry and you are seeing that the kids are the future, then might as well train them the right way. Yeah. Even if they don't buy your product, you want to see that ROI on someone's future, on someone's face. Like, hey, what you did for me 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it helped me find my path. So for us, we are a very big part of many different schools, and we are always thinking outside the box. What else can we do?
Yeah.
So, yep.
Well, it's serving.
Yeah, correct.
Right, because maybe you're playing the long game.
Yeah.
But branding with the high schools and post-secondary, it goes a long way.
It does.
If they learn on your torch, they're likely gonna use it forever.
And we get it. We're not dumb. We know how that works. But at the end of the day, we also just want to give back. And sometimes, we don't even have a presence more than just that one time. But we still feel good. Like, hey, good. We help you with that one thing that you did, or competition, or this or that, and it just feels good at the end of the day, regardless.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about your journey now into Torch Tales? How did that start? Did you bring Torch Tales to Uniweld, or did Uniweld bring Torch Tales to you?
So I brought it to the table, and realistically, it's not even tied to Uniweld at all. It's a personal project.
Okay.
And but I'm very transparent. They know exactly what I'm doing, because I wanted to make sure that they didn't see it as I'm just piggybacking or whatever, which I am, in the sense that I am in the industry and the connections, right?
Right.
So it's something that I've always been into social media content, but always behind doors. And I used to coach baseball for a long, long time. So I've always somehow been tied to youth and, their progress and their path and all that. So being part of my section for the American Welding Society as well, every time I would ever talk to someone, oh yeah, I'm in the welding industry. Oh great, you're a welder. I'm like, no, I'm not. Oh, you make machines, or no. So the answers kept being no for a few, right? For a few questions. I'm like, all right, so let me tell you what I do.
Yeah.
So then that kind of like, you know what? There's so many other avenues in this industry, and most people, these kids, sometimes they don't know that they could be a Max Ceron, they could be a Frank, they could be and it doesn't mean that you're an actual welder welding every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm like, how do I share that? How can I tell them that there's so many other things? Being exposed to many of you out there, I'm like, wow, that we're at the bar having drinks, and I hear your story. I'm like, well, that's very cool. That's interesting.
People should hear this. Yeah.
So I'm like, I asked my first friend, I think it was John Ospina from GATA. He runs GATA, the Gas and Welding Distributor Association in the U.S., and, he's the director of GATA, and we were in Seven Springs, Pittsburgh. And I'm like, hey, John, do you mind if we record and have a conversation? And I post them somewhere. He's like, whoa, wait, what?
For what?
Yeah, for what? Yeah, I was like, well, this is the idea. And we happened to go, and we were just watching waterfalls around town. I was like, well, this looks like a great place. Can we do it here? He said, yes. I'm like, all right, it's on. Then I've done...
Just on your phone or what? Yeah.
So that first one, I had the level your mics, and just some of the stuff, very travel pack kind of thing. Because I travel so much, I can't have all this gear that you have with me.
Well, I pay people to do it.
Well, you're a big deal, Max. I'm right here. You're a big deal. So it was very unassuming. We did it just standing, with a waterfall background. So I love the idea of being mobile and just kind of being anywhere at any given moment. And then I kept asking people. They keep saying yes. They kept saying yes. I'm like, all right, I'm 5 in. I'm 10. I'm 40. And now I'm like 65 in.
Really? Wow.
And
I didn't realize there was that many episodes. I thought you were in the 40 range.
Yeah, So I think number 50 drops this coming Saturday. And then I have another 15 or so already saved. Yeah. And I have at least another 100 people in the lineup that they're waiting for me to get to them at some point. Had you asked me if I was going to get more than 5 guests, I'm like, whatever, you're full of it. Now, like I said, I'm just lucky. I'm grateful.
Now, what about the time? Dude, what do you do with the time? You got family?
Yes, I do.
You got kids?
Yes, I do.
You're a North American sales manager for a giant company?
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you do it?
I have no clue, Max. I could spend another show just trying to tell you how I do this.
Maybe we should start like a flow chart.
Yeah. Trust me. If you look at my calendar on my phone, it's like all colors every single day. There's 10 things, right?
Yeah.
You know how it works.
Yeah.
But I make sure that usually I either fly in the day before into an area, or I fly the day after, or even after work. A lot of my guests are flexible enough, and they're just cool enough to say, sure, Frank, we'll work with what you got as long as it works with my day as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just lucky.
Just sneak them in. Yeah.
I know. So it's 30, 35 minutes or so, not because I planned the time, but just because organically it just kept happening that way. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's the MO.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what happens is I find myself in a plane or in the middle of the hotel. Oh shoot, I haven't done this one.
Anything,
or I haven't edited this one. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I already said this one's gonna, and then I start freaking out and I lose
Yeah.
sleep and I'm like, oh great. So that's the only panic mode that happens. Yeah.
So now that it's doing well and you like it, the great shows are fun. Do you want to grow that? Like, is this like, are you thinking like side hustle number 2? You end up
Yeah.
with a crew like me and editors and graphic department. Like, is there a vision for Torch Tales?
I'll be lying if I say that, hey, if that happens, great.
Yeah.
It's not why I started this whole thing. I
Yeah.
work for a company. I make a good living. I travel all over the place. I get to meet and make friends with great, amazing people. So
Yeah.
that's not the end goal because I want to respect who I work for.
Yep.
And a few companies have approached and said, hey, we would love to sponsor an episode or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is no.
That's going to get conflicted pretty quick.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. That's I'm not going to touch that. I don't even want to entertain the idea because
Yeah.
I don't want to start thinking while I'm at night. It might feel like, well, I just missed an extra whatever.
Yeah,
I just don't want to do that. So the long term, who knows? Right now, I'm having fun. People are digging it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll see what happens.
What's the longest episode you've done? Because like we have a 45-minute-ish
Yeah.
stream for. I've had some go long like 2 hours. I did one with Becker that was like 3.5.
Yeah,
Like-
I know Jason. I when I'm driving, I listen to a lot of the ones he does, and sometimes, I'm like, whoa, I got to my destination, and and I still have an hour and a half
To
left.
be
but-
continued.
I know, right? So the longest one I've done, I think it's about an hour,
Yeah.
and I normally don't like to hit that mark.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
most time people attention
How
span,
much they can take in. Yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
and the thing is that I do a video format other than just podcast. It's
Mm-hmm.
a YouTube channel, and I wanted to be different, a little bit different than you do such a great job, and so does Jason. So your podcast, the audio version, it's there, and I'm like, you know what? I want to be different.
Yeah.
I think I'm different.
That
at
organic feel.
face to face.
Yeah,
This is when
yeah.
I can react and then see, hey, you just wink. Why are you winking at me, right? So.
No, it's the person behind you.
I was like, oh, great. All right, I knew it wasn't, about me, but it is about me. So yeah, that's kind of my approach.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then in terms of, the future and the expansion of the trades and what you're doing with Uniweld, do you think that there's going to be sort of an ask from Uniweld or thoughts of Uniweld of maybe doing something similar like Torch Tales, but actually for the company?
So the yes and no. And the
Yeah.
reason why I say that is because the only social content and everything that happens organically for Uniweld, guess who's doing it?
Ah,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
all right.
So it depends how much more I want to put on my plate.
That's
and,
right.
And ask me if
Okay.
I want to put more on my plate.
You'll probably say yes, honestly.
Actually, yes, I would probably say yes, right? But so yeah. So
Because we're dumb like that. I have zero time. I've slept
I know.
nothing this week. Do I do a
Give me
project?
more.
All right.
Give me more. So yeah, so I mean, I try to make sure that I have that balance. Without so far it's great. I love what I do. I love building the brand and just giving people just a different perspective on, hey, we're not just 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We have all these other things that we can do. But yeah, at the end of the day, it would be on me. And
Yeah.
I want to also have a good time with friends.
Yeah, and kids and
And
stuff
yeah, of
like
course,
that.
and the
Like
wife. Yeah.
I already went through one wife on the second one. I got to be more
Me too.
careful now.
Me too. I'm on my second round. So, the story with me, I married my high school sweetheart. So I have a 27 and a 24-year-old young
26
man.
and 22.
Oh, hey, brother.
Yeah.
There you go. So now I remarried, and now I went not only from having two grown
You
men.
made new ones?
Yeah. No, my wife came with the
Okay.
package.
Yeah.
Came with 2 little girls. So now
Okay.
I have 2 little girls, 4 and 8.
Oh, boy.
So I'm starting all over again.
Yeah, my new one, no kids.
Yeah.
No more kids for me. I'm an empty nester now.
Look
so.
at you. What?
Yeah.
No wonder you have all this time. I
Well,
get
that's
it.
the thing, honestly. Like, I've been traveling for my career
Yeah.
most of my life, and it kind of caused my first divorce, to be honest. Like, just being on the road and
Yep.
doing that stuff,
I get
living
that.
that life, and when I started teaching, so now I have an at-home job. I go there, I work for the college, great job, it's super
Gotcha.
fun, I loved it. And then my kids moved out of the house,
Right.
and then the pandemic hit.
Oh, even worse.
So now I'm at home, and I don't even have my kids to bug anymore. Me and my wife have to stay together. Well, actually, she didn't. She could still work because she's a social worker. They have to
that's
keep
awesome.
working. But I was nothing to do. And then CWB called me being like, hey, You teaching right
Yes.
now? It's like, no. You want to come run the association? Yeah, okay, let's try it. Yeah.
Hold on, let me check my agenda. Yeah. I mean,
But I mean, things
cool.
happen for you. But because now I can travel again. Now I can be on the road 3 months a year, and although it's hard and it's tiring and all that stuff, I can.
Yeah, and that's look. There's nothing like that, especially when you can and you can do that. Now, does your wife ever travels with you? Or?
Yeah, if she picks the ones that she likes to come to,
of course,
right? Like, oh, you're going to Chicago again? I want to come to Chicago.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And that's great. That freedom that you have and that we all have nowadays. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't really make that quick decision because now it's a pack of 3. I'm like, all right, hold on, let me look at the checkbook and see if we can actually afford this whole thing, right?
Oops, that one went on the company Amex again.
Right, yeah. So, but it's great. I'm having a great time, Max.
All right, last questions.
Sure.
What does it mean for you to have your heritage in this industry? How would you like to reflect or have Frankie Vargas' name be associated to your heritage? Does that matter to you? And if it does, how do you want it to be a part of your work life?
Great question. That one was, wow. That one actually is going to make me think a little bit. I guess every one of us, at the end of the day, what we're looking for is to be remembered in a good way. And to say, hey, Frank always did what he said he was going to do, because that's how I judge people. I judge people on what they say they're going to do and what they end up doing.
Yeah.
Those are my only 2 rules, right?
Yeah.
So I try to live that life as well. And if someone at the end of the day can say, Frank is a cool guy, not just because he's fun and he can laugh and blah, 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 but also because he's just a by-the-book guy. And whatever he says it's what's going to happen. And that's the legacy that I want to make sure that people remember, if there is such a thing as a legacy, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to be Hispanic and having the best of both worlds, being bilingual and know what, rice and beans and plantains is, right? And also a great burger, steak, wings.
Yeah.
And right? So for me...
Straight to the burger, wings.
Well, what do you think? I've been here for a while, so yeah. That's what we do here.
Yeah,
and, so yeah, I love the fact that I get to travel, be expose the U.S. side, expose where I come from, and also teach anyone that wants to listen, hey, you can do all this as well. Mm-hmm. So for me, at the end of the day, the recipe is very simple, Max. It is very simple. The rest, let other people say and judge you and come up with their own ideas of what you left behind.
Do you feel it's an advantage to be bilingual in your industry?
For me, it does. I mean, look at me. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to Argentina. I'm going to places and talking to distributors that sometimes I have distributors in Texas or all over the place
but they're Mexican.
That they don't speak English.
That's right.
And they just loved like, hey, you're one of us. Come here. Here's this $15,000 PO.
Yeah.
And I get it because I was able to just.
Well, and they're more comfortable, right?
At the end of the day, that's what it is. We feel more comfortable with the people we connect with and the people that, he's just like one of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that in my world, anytime I get a chance to speak in my native language, because English was my second language, I love it. And if it's professional, it's even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's great. I was telling my wife this the other day. It's like, you know what? I've learned to now translate the professional English side of things to the Spanish side of things.
Yeah.
Because I left very early on.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a professional side in Spanish. And my Spanish was like very
Kid
street,
Spanish.
very street, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh, wow, look at me. I sound so professional in Spanish. Wow, I'm growing up in front of my eyes.
Yeah, I had to do a presentation in Chile last year because I started up a chapter in Chile because why wouldn't I?
Right.
I'm from there.
Of course.
So we started up a chapter. It's doing very well. And they asked me to come down, hosted a conference like this, but in South America called Conamet Sam. It's a fantastic conference. And they asked me to do a presentation. And, man, I was sweating. I was sweating because, like, getting up in front of people, I get up in front of people all the time. It's part of my job. But now I got to get up in front of people.
People and translating.
And I got to do a technical, professional talk on the industry, on metallurgy in Spanish.
I know.
I'm like, my dad, he's a old Boilermaker. And so I was like grilling him, being like, how do you say this in Spanish? How do you say this in Spanish? And he's like, I know Sabi. And it's like, no, man, I don't.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm asking you. I run
It
into
went
that
well,
all the
though.
time.
It went well.
Good
though.
for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. I think it's important because we do learn certain things here that it takes a little bit longer to get to other countries, especially the safety part.
Yeah.
And when I travel abroad and I see some of the things that happen in
Yeah,
some of the countries,
yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that's
Don't
how you
do that, man.
Ooh, like, But hey, I don't know anything, right?
Yeah, no safety glasses, nothing.
The
There's
bottle,
no
the
gloves.
bottle sideways on a motorcycle, and you're like, did I just see a settling on a bike? Yeah, but it happens. It's out there. Yep.
Awesome. And then let's talk about just like the next steps.
Yeah.
You know, for you, you know, where do you see yourself in Uniweld in the next few years? Is there room for you for personal growth at Uniweld?
You know, I think it's always, most people, even if it's a family-owned business, there's always growth as long as you plan your growth. You know, because you can say, all right, well, I cap here. But if you think...
Who told you that?
I know, right?
Yeah.
But most people, they say, well, there's just me and then the owners. And they think, well, there's nowhere else to go, right? But if you think outside the box, you can always grow the company, create new things that is going to just make you more successful.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, the title doesn't matter. We just want to make more money so we can bring more food to the table, right?
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day, I don't care who tells you otherwise, that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely.
So I think even though there's a cap, I might not be the owner of Uniweld, but if I think outside the box and do all these other things that the company sees value in me or anybody else, I think, there's never a cap. It's just the cap you put on yourself. So my title just changed this year from regional to national sales manager. And so, of course, that's going to get me even more places. And I'm just going to make sure that I take advantage of that and people see that as well, that, hey, now you get to see me either less or more, depending where, right? But so that's the idea.
Well, congratulations on your new promotion.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Appreciate it.
And it's a very valid point that you make. It's something that I always try to tell kids when they're just getting in the industry and they start feeling like I'm not making enough money.
Yeah.
It happens often because I think educators sometimes mislead kids and say, you're going to go out there and make $1 million.
Yeah.
And you may make $1 million, but not yet.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get there. Kids will say, I'm not going to make more money. I just say to them, well, are you making your boss more money?
Correct.
Because it's a chain. It
it.
all ties together. If you want to make more money, you got to make sure he makes more money. That's the only way it's going to happen. Because if he's not making more money, how is he going to pay you more?
You
right?
either make him more money or you save him money.
Yeah.
One of the, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. So if you see a process and you're just wasting dollars out the door, hey, we can do that better. I just saved you $100,000. Well, I want a piece of that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Don't be afraid of saying, I just did this, I just saved you this, or I just made you this.
Yeah.
I want a piece of that because I want to keep doing these things.
Yeah.
But I want to feel that you also see my value.
That you see that, yeah.
Correct. That's I tell that everyone. Yep.
Awesome. Last question. For young, let's be very specific here. For young Latinos that are coming to North America, there's lots right now coming, right?
Sure.
Lots all over Canada, US,
everywhere.
everywhere. And they're looking for the jobs. They're looking for good work. And this is, to me, is obviously where you should come. What advice would you give a fresh Latino coming to North America looking to get into the steel industry? What would you say to them?
Put in the work, and also don't think that same thing. Don't just go in thinking that you're going to make money right off the bat. Sometimes go in for free. Go sweep. Go be exposed to that expert. Because now it's investing. It's investing in yourself. So when you buy a book, when you watch a documentary, what is it that you're watching that for? To learn something, right? So what's the difference between, hey, you have a welding shop, I want to become a welder. Don't pay me. I'm just going to come in the 2 hours I have a week and just sweep and be around you guys. Learn the lingo. Learn all these other things. Somebody's going to see this.
Yeah.
And even if they don't see it there, by the time you go to the next thing and
you're asking experience.
And you're asking for, hey, I think I'm worth something. Why? Why are you worth anything? Well, because I just saw all these things. I'm exposed to all these things, and I can actually run a beat. Who taught you? I watched for 6 months. Whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Don't go in just thinking, I want to get paid right off the bat. First of all, you haven't earned anything. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
So why would I pay you for nothing yet?
Yeah.
And most people don't want to teach nowadays, so it's up to you to learn on your own, and then you can go say, hey, I know some things. Pay me now.
Yeah.
So that's what I usually tell.
Get on that first rung so you can start climbing.
Invest in yourself and just give your free time to learn something. So, yeah.
All right. So how do people get Uniweld products? How do they find you? Do your pitch.
Well, Uniweld products, again, like I said, you can go to our site, uniweld.com, and we have reps all over the world. You can reach out to fvargas@uniweld.com. That's my email. Or you just go through the regular link, and you have the info email there as well. And trust me, you're going to find somewhere. We have distributors, like I said, all over the world. We don't sell direct to the end user. We're very respectful to our distributors. Mm-hmm. So if you're an end user, don't reach out because we're going to send you to a distributor. And we have plenty.
But you're still fine.
but you're still going to find something and somewhere where you can buy the line. And that's the easiest way. Awesome, man. Any shout outs to anybody? Shout out to you. Thank you. I'm keeping track of what you do. You're doing a great job. I love the not just the content, but the persona, because it takes a little bit more than just, let me get in front of the mic and just say some things, right?
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, and just keep up the great work, and make sure you start doing some Spanish ones too, Yeah,
well, we're going to work on that. I have done a couple Spanish ones, but I haven't released them because I'm shy. Well, and I want to do like a little group. I don't want to just release one and walk away.
Gotcha.
Like I want to have,
of course,
some type of continuity.
Every so other,
yeah.
No, I get it. But other than that, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Also, thank you to the pink welder that's next to me watching and giving Max the eye like, hey, he's done. Let's go.
Yeah.
So thank you to both for having me. It's been a great time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. And for all the people that have been following, watching, downloading, and commenting, thank you very much for being our followers and making us as successful as we are. And this wraps up our Fabtech series. Make sure that you check out the next ones. We're going to be doing this same thing in Orlando. We're going to be doing Fabtech shows, podcast shows down in Orlando. We're going to be hanging out, bringing in the big names. We got something on the books, working with Becker. We got something fun we're building right now.
Nice.
So it's going to be pretty cool. And hopefully I can weasel my way into whatever Frank is doing down there too.
Yes.
So
yes, you will.
Awesome. So stay tuned for the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.